approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Review minutes of the regular meeting, April 10th, 2025. They look good to me, so we can just approve as presented. Review and approve bills. The accounts payable, $232,834.86.
I move we approve the bill.
Support.
Any discussion?
Yeah, can you give me a little bit there to look over?
The annual liability premium of $180,000, $187,000. We normally get a refund on that, don't we?
It just depends
Well, I
on,
know it depends, but we normally do.
Yeah.
yes, I know they're coming out to do their on-site valuations, they do that every 5 years, and that is this year. So we'll see,
What was last year's refund, approximately? Do we remember?
no.
I can tell you, a couple, 2 or 3 years ago, the refund was larger than the premium.
Oh, that hasn't been since I've been
That
on
was
board.
the year that the stock market did
Really,
exceptionally
really
well.
well.
So, yeah, lots of years, maybe it runs in the range of 20 to 50,000.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, but I just wondered if everybody actually remembered the number.
I have too many numbers in my head.
That's understandable. So all of our payables, that's, the greatest majority.
That's,
Seeing how it's 232,000, and that was 187.
Yeah, that's a big chunk of it.
Yep.
So, where are we as far as getting in the limestone that we need? I mean, we got a bill here from Jim Run.
We're probably
about half or a
Half?
little over.
been hauled in so far, I think,
Okay.
maybe a little over half, but
A lot of it just depends on the contracts that are coming in and how much they choose.
Anything else? If not, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion.
Bob, you're going to the road manager conference?
yes,
That's first, what,
7th May?
of May?
Yes.
Okay. And the guys went to 410s?
Yes.
I found that out at my,
So,
at Scipio's Township meeting.
Yeah, okay.
I had brief.
You had briefed it, I was out there, and I said, and I'm sure they'll be going to 410s shortly, I just don't know when, and my cohort, Judy Leedy, said, that be Monday after Easter. I go, okay, there you go, you have it hot off the press.
Yes, we did.
okay, payroll dated April 24th for $118,345.08.
I move we pay the payroll for the total of $119,345.08.
Support.
Any discussion? If not, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Moving right along. Oops. Excellent.
Everybody signed this.
Treasurer's report.
Beginning cash and investment balance is $1,731,307.93. Total receipts were $882,360.61. Total in bills and payroll is $352,179.94. Bonds and escrow is $10,250. CD reserved for 2 trucks is $677,819.50. Ending available fund balance is $1,573,419.10. And outstanding accounts payable, we have a credit of $1,247.38.
Any discussion? If not, let's have those present. Matt, you're up.
Perfect. Morning, everyone.
Morning.
So I wanted to come today and talk about what we have going on, which is quite a bit for us. Besides our normal maintenance that we do every year, we're pretty stacked with projects. So, the stump drain, which would be the M99 Camden Road area, that's one of the biggest ones this year. Just a brief history, we had some issues finding contractors. We actually tried to bid that out last July, and MDOT was requiring pre-qualified contractors, which was fine by me. There's really no contractor in this county that could do that job. But last July, we had no one show up, not a single contractor. So we bid it this late winter, along with multiple other projects, and we had 2 contractors come up. So we were able to secure a contractor for that. So that project is in 2 different phases. There's the work on M99. That contractor is Solarski. I believe they're out of Jackson County. Then the other part of that project is the county drain downstream of M99. So basically, we don't have a good outlet either. Fortunately, MDOT is funding that. They're paying for everything. We're replacing our county drain and doing the road work on M99. So that's a separate contractor. That's a Kellogg Drainage out of Eden, Ohio, got that bid. So Kellogg's will be working on the downstream portion beginning around mid-May.
So does that cross Camden Road?
Yes.
That's what I thought, it had to.
Yep. Crosses Camden Road and outlets into the Silver Creek.
Okay.
And we're replacing the entire drain. And that will also provide a good outlet for the work on M99. Because originally we were gonna try and get M99 done. Kind of backwards. So it worked out better this way, because now that we're gonna have a new drain up there, because I don't know if any of you drive by that area, there's quite a lake. Quite a lake on that east side right now, so, I think things are all gonna work good. So the downstream work on the county drain is gonna start around mid-May. Solarski, for the MDOT work on M99 is gonna start, around mid-July, is what they're telling me.
So is there currently a tube or some sort of a
Yes.
structure under Camden Road
Yes.
right now? Where the old drain is, and so
Yes.
that's gonna have to come out.
Yeah, so on that downstream work on the county drain, yes, we will be crossing Camden Road. I talked with Bob a little bit about that. Bob was agreeable to work with us for that road closure and help us with some signage for that. Originally, my engineers had spec'd out a humongous detour route and everything for Camden Road. I'm like, yeah, let's scale that way back. So, Bob's gonna work with us for that. But that's gonna be only, I would say at most, Camden Road would be closed maybe a week, at most. We're not talking anything major there.
And it's approximately how far west of M99?
Oh, about 1,000 feet or so. Yep, is where it crosses Camden Road. So, the work on M99 is, they're actually replacing 2 culverts. There's the main one, the deep one where the water is standing on the east side. further to the south, there was a secondary culvert that MDOT wanted replaced. It's currently full of dirt, it doesn't even function either, but I think it was there to act as like an emergency secondary culvert, so they're doing both of them.
So I'm assuming that's the same depth as the other one?
It's actually higher,
Oh, is it?
the elevation of it is a little bit higher, so the water would have to come up some before it would start going through that second one, but. And through this process, we're in agreement with MDOT, when this project's done, those culverts that cross the road will now be part of the Stump County drain.
Hmm.
So, as far as timeline, so the M99 closure, the road will be completely closed. I know you guys know the detour route, but it's Burt Road east to Bird Lake Road, south to Camden Road, and then back west to M99. I've heard some feedback from locals that that's not a good detour route, but what is? Short of going to Territorial to 127 up to Hudson Road and, 15-mile bypass. So.
Is that something the state could improve to make that detour? And,
Camden Road is.
Probably not.
Camden Road is in good shape. It's the 1 mile of Burt and the 1 mile of Burt Lake is not in the best of shape.
those are not in good shape.
And the locals are gonna find whatever works for them.
Right.
They're not gonna care about the actual detour, they're gonna find, but on the same thing, if for some reason that deteriorates the roads, then we'll have to work with them not to.
My concern is the truck traffic and making the corner, like if you're coming from the north and you head east on Burt, and you gotta make that corner at Burt and Bird Lake, that's a tough corner
It is.
with a truck and trailer.
Is that the detour for 99 or the detour for Camden?
That's the detour for 99.
So, how long is 99 gonna be closed?
I asked the contractor that, and he was not comfortable giving me any estimate.
So what does that mean? 3 months, 1
That
month?
means if he starts in mid-July, we have a substantial completion date of November 15th.
Okay,
So
okay,
there's our time frame.
okay, so you're talking most of the summer.
Now,
My history is on 12, when they redid 12, they repaved Sterling Road, so those trucks could go up Moscow Road to Sterling Road back to 12. Why isn't MDOT gonna improve that road for that truck traffic? Because it's truck traffic. I mean, car traffic, yes, I'm concerned about car traffic, but trucks don't have a choice.
Yeah, I wasn't involved with the conversations with, I don't know if it was just Bob but MDOT and my engineers got approval from the road commission for that detour route.
Normally what it comes down to is they're not gonna sign up to redo it until it's done. Once it's done, they'll reevaluate the road.
No.
Well,
I'm
unless
telling
it's
Sterling-
horrible shape to begin with,
I'm telling you, they repaved Sterling Road for that truck traffic
then it was horrible
prior
to begin
to.
with.
Well, and we have 2 sections that are horrible. And you're gonna expect trucks to go down, I mean, what can we do to get those repaved by the state?
they're marginal at best, in my
Yes.
opinion.
Right, I agree. And unfortunately, this is one of those areas where there isn't a good detour route. There's just not.
I
But we
mean,
will,
Burt going west is gravel.
And that's the detour?
No.
No, okay, all right, I would say, if I'm the state, I wouldn't wanna have to pave the gravel road, I would say pick a different detour, so I guess that's,
Yeah.
That's why when you mention, it's like, well, that's part of,
That 1 mile stretch of Burt is paved, but it's not great.
But that's a primary road.
well, it's a primary road, and we're trying, and 99's a major road, we're not talking
Right,
a secondary road that we're doing a detour for.
right.
We're talking a lot of semi-truck.
A lot of traffic.
Yes,
well, I'll evaluate that road before they start, I assume.
Oh, yes.
So we
My-
have videos and,
but my point is it should be paved, those bad sections should be paved for that truck traffic by
If they're in
MDOT before the
If they're in that
detour.
condition, we will work on that.
Okay,
I'd feel
Well,
better.
let me ask this question. If we can't get them to agree to repave the entire 2 miles, you know, the Milebird and the Milebird Lake beforehand. At least at that intersection that Matt's talking about. Because, yeah, I mean, for a semi to make that turn there, right or left, either whichever way you're going.
Depending on what's there, the intersections can be widened fairly easy.
That was talked about,
We've done that for the windmills and all kinds of stuff.
that was talked about many meetings ago, I think it was even last year, widening that intersection for truck traffic. Because it's quite a drop off right there, that needs to be, it needs to be widened.
I don't know if you'll talk them into paving it before, but if it gets tore up really bad, then actual paved road, pulverize it, redo it. If we do it now.
That's what they need. If they're in that condition, they need
Yeah.
pulverized, and they're not gonna pulverize them
Before.
prior.
Right, that's gonna be, all they're gonna do is put a cap on it right now, and that's just a Band-Aid.
And it'll look good and help the rides right now, maybe that's the only option for right now.
Right.
But
Right.
the fix would be to.
So, on a road closure of this size, what do you guys like to see as far as, how much of a notice do you need on your end before we close the road? I mean,
For
to
something
be honest
like
with you,
that-
I've not done a lot of these MDOT projects, so,
For something like that, I would, at least like a month to get notice out to people and be posting it on
Facebook
web,
and-
Facebook, web, you know, whatever.
newspaper or radio or whatever.
Hey, on this date, we're gonna close it and.
Get the proper.
Now, does
size.
that-
This is a detour.
Would that be something that you would typically require a permit? Or because it's an MDOT road, the permitting is handled through MDOT, or how does that work with you guys?
Permit for what?
For the road closure or the work on the road or anything of that
That's
nature?
actually through MDOT because it's
Okay.
their road,
Okay.
but they'll work with us. You know, so.
Okay,
What about the Camden Road piece? I mean, we're gonna do that first, my understanding, and that'll be closed for a week to 10 days.
yeah, honestly, at most, I don't even think it'll be a week, but,
Well, and we're doing work on Camden Road too.
Yeah, but we're gonna be east
We're gonna
of
be
there,
farther, yeah.
2 miles east.
what are you guys doing there on Camden Road?
That's an overlay.
No, we're doing more than that, we're grinding it up.
Well, yeah.
But that road won't be closed during that time.
No, that's where we need to get that done at a separate time, so that all everything's not.
Yeah. So I would guess if the contractor sticks with his schedule and he's out there mid-May, by June 1st, the road cut will be done. There's not much to do downstream or south of Camden Road before the cut, so that'll happen pretty quick. And it's not a complicated road cut, in my opinion. It's not very deep. We're just going straight across the road. I mean, typically, we can whip those out in 2 days at most.
Yeah.
But I don't like to be, you know, I'd like to be conservative. You never know what you're gonna find, but,
No, and you never know what kind of weather we're gonna get
Right,
dealt with. If
right.
we get a 3-inch rain,
yeah,
make life difficult for a few days.
yeah,
Do you have to deal with Eagle on this?
yeah, we did, on M99, cause there's wetlands,
You actually got it from
yeah.
that quick?
It wasn't too bad. I think maybe MDOT has a little pole, I don't know.
I would think
I
so.
don't, I know that.
Like I said, this actually started well over a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, so things have been in.
Yeah, and,
Hasn't this started 2 years ago?
yeah,
Cause that's when the road, we had the
the whole
Sunday,
sinkhole,
yeah, the sinkhole, and he had the lights out there, so.
2 years
It's
ago,
been
about right
2
now.
years.
Yeah.
I guess I was thinking that was last year. But that's-
No,
Well,
2 years.
Time
now.
flies when you're having fun, Bob.
and I'm not trying to throw MDOT under the bus, but they have too many people look at their plans. It was so much back and forth, 6 months of back and forth with them, waiting on them.
Yeah.
So
You
they
just
spec'd
seen that
out,
detour route.
the backfill is iron blast furnace slag aggregate. 3,823 cubic yards. Ever heard of that?
No.
Nope.
That's called slag.
Yeah, it's steel slag.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it as backfill though.
No.
But apparently they feel that's the most suitable material for the condition, for the, you know, that soil type and,
When you
It
say
all has to be-
backfill's kind of the bedding for the tube?
you know,
Okay, 'cause that will let it
they're gonna undercut it several feet, stone it or slag it, and then the pipes, it's only an 18-inch pipe. That's all the bigger it is, but it's 25 foot deep.
It's deep down.
Oh, my.
And they're gonna, my engineer calls it a burrito. They'll have fabric underneath it, then they're gonna wrap it with fabric.
Yeah, burrito, yeah.
There'll be a catch basin on each side of the road. But that steel slag all has to be trucked out of Detroit.
So who knew who in Detroit and wanted to get rid of some slag?
According to the contractor, he said that's the only place he could find it,
For that kind.
For that
For that.
size.
for that spec.
Particular, that's.
Yeah, cause the one out of Delta,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I don't think that meets spec.
Okay,
So
well, we got people who
they're
want
probably
to.
he wants to stage it at my yard, which is great, cause he doesn't wanna truck it from
Sure.
Detroit when they need it. They
Yeah.
want it here local, so,
sure,
When they're done, you'll be able to spread that around, have a pretty decent
yeah.
parking area.
right.
And there is I think, someone put a flag there, one of your guys, but there is a small little depression
Yes.
on that.
On the other side.
We're keeping an eye on it. It's on the west side. Where the original
Yes.
sinkhole was.
West of 99, we're talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not on the pavement, it's right off the
Oh,
edge.
off the edge,
There's a
okay,
flag there.
okay,
I know you guys are watching it, we're watching it.
okay. So I have a question, when you say that this is part of the stump drain going forward, the culverts underneath 99, does that put it on the county then to repair it the next time?
It's interesting because digging through the old files, the state actually appealed their apportionment of this drain and it got turned down. So this typical county drain, there's a watershed district that landowners pay.
Yes,
This one's no different.
right,
However, I found documentation in the file that basically states this drain was put in to provide drainage for M99.
okay,
So that was leverage we used to get MDOT to pay for this.
okay,
Moving forward, hopefully we won't have to worry about it for a very long time because everything's gonna be brand new.
well, I know, but a very long time does end.
Yes, I know.
So I'm curious, because when you say that now is part of the stump drain, is that MDOT saying, hey, we're never paying for this again?
Right. I guess I need to have that conversation and see if I can get something in writing because
Yeah,
it really, there isn't hardly, excuse me, any benefit to any landowner for drainage.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a very small amount.
right,
And it's evident that the drain was put in because of M99.
because they need to get up out of the swamp.
Right, right.
So when you say that they're working on the downside or upside of that drain, which goes across Camden Road,
Mhm.
MDOT's paying for that as well
Yes.
this time, and so the landowners won't be
Yes,
assessed?
there's no out-of-pocket cost to anyone within the district or the county or anything. It's 100% funded by MDOT.
And MDOT did that because they needed it to flow under their
They
road?
needed a place for the water to go, but the
Okay.
existing county drain was in such disrepair that
Okay,
I told him, I said, you have to do something with this down here too.
okay,
The only way
Okay.
you can successfully get the water off from the east side of M99 without a new drain would be to put some kind of a pump system and pump it a long ways up over the top of a hill and
Right,
onto some
right.
other drainage district.
Yeah, yeah.
Is any of that from 99 down to Camden Road, is any of that open drain?
No,
Salted? Okay.
that entire stump drain is 100% enclosed tile drain. Yep.
So what's the anticipation of how long it'll take to do the M99 part of the project?
It's so hard to say. That's why the contractor didn't wanna say, because I think he's not gonna know until he starts getting in there.
Yeah, well,
I'm hoping once he starts opening things up, we can nail him down a little bit, give us some type of idea.
but it has to be done by the
It
November.
has to be done by November
So-
15th, so
so
worst
July
case scenario,
15th to November.
that's worst case scenario.
Right.
That's the best I can give you right now.
that's 4 months.
I don't speculate it being that long, to be honest with you. I'm really hoping it doesn't get into farming season, but,
But here again, weather will be a factor.
right,
plus
Right.
lines, yeah.
If we have a dry summer, fall, it will go well.
Yeah,
If we have a wet summer, fall,
so the idea
it'd
was
be a
to,
disaster.
jack and bore that. And they did soil borings and found all sorts of unsuitable soils and all sorts of nasty stuff. They probably threw whatever they had down in there to get it filled. And unfortunately, that turned it into a open cut project. But it's gonna be a big hole.
Oh, yeah.
Big hole.
Time you slope that back,
They got 25 feet,
yeah, you're looking at an 80-foot wide trench,
yeah, at least.
if not more,
For an 18-inch tube.
for an 18-inch pipe.
And the bottom of it, I mean, how deep is the muck? Do we know?
We don't, but the soil borings were helpful for my engineers to determine how to design a project that's gonna work. So I don't know, I think they know, but I don't really know for sure, but.
So I had, in my years as county treasurer for Ionia County, her husband worked for, the DOT. And when they put the new freeway in, there on the south side of Grand Rapids,
96.
he was telling me that there was an area of muck in there, they had to excavate 80 foot of muck for quite a stretch in order to get something solid to build the highway on.
Pretty crazy, a lot of that around the state.
That's why the old timers built the corduroy roads and just went across it.
If you wanna read about it, building the Alcan Highway in Alaska.
Yep, so another one of my projects, MDOT project, is in the city of Litchfield. I don't think it has a whole lot to do with the road commission because it's within the city limits, but it's on a county drain that crosses M49 right in front of Tenneco. There's a culvert, failing culvert there that the MDOT would like replaced. So they basically said, hey, you wanna take this on, we'll pay for it, you administer the project, sure. So, that's gonna be taking place, and we haven't had a pre-construction meeting with that contractor yet on that project. But just so you're aware, MDOT would not let us close M49, so they're gonna do a single lane closure to do that work, which complicates it, but
So who's paying for the work to be done?
MDOT,
MDOT is paying,
same as stump drain.
okay.
They're paying 100%. And we're getting some good work downstream on, that's an open channel drain. They're replacing a culvert on Mill Street in Litchfield as well, in the village of Litchfield, so it's great to see some stuff get done on their dollar.
So about how far south of, say the downtown where M99 and M49 come together, about how far south of that would this project be?
It's towards the south end of town. It's just north of Herring Road, about a quarter mile. So it's towards the south end.
So you're right there in the industrial park.
Yeah, yep,
Across from Tenneco would be.
yep.
What's the time frame when they plan to?
That's got the same substantial completion on November 15th. I don't have a start date yet. We haven't had a pre-construction meeting with them. Honestly, that's a pretty cut and dry project compared to M99.
Yeah,
There's nothing spectacular going on there.
who's the contractor for that?
CD Hughes. So those are my MDOT projects.
You've been
Just-
working for MDOT.
Yeah, I've never done an MDOT project, now I got two of them this year, so. Just a couple other projects that we have, the Clark County drain, which is in Woodbridge Township. We're doing a project there. We'll be starting west of Clark Road, just north of Camden Road. So we'll be crossing Clark Road. Again, I'll work with Bob, he's been terrific to work with.
I'm gonna call in some favors one of these days, though.
We'll make it happen. Hopefully with our permit that I was talking with Heather about.
Yep.
So you say this is Clark Road north of
North of
Camden?
Camden.
Yes. So the nice thing about this project, there's some major issues with that drain in that area, causing some major flooding for a couple landowners. And primarily our dreaded Grass Lake Road that always floods
Yeah,
every year and stays flooded for a couple weeks. That's where we're ending with the project. So, I anticipate you can't expect an area like that to never flood, but I think it's gonna be, I know it's gonna be drastically improved, where we should see very minimal flooding in that area when we get done. We're gonna have a new drain up through there, a little bit bigger pipe, potentially a little bit deeper. There's, I have a long history of that drain and that road. I know my dad did years ago. I know you guys do. So I'm very excited to get that project underway. That'll start, mid-June.
is that an open drain?
It's,
Partial.
yeah, some of it's tiled and closed, some of it's open. Yep. So I'm pretty excited about that one.
You say it starts mid-June.
Yeah, yep.
Are you guys doing all the work on that?
Nope, that was contracted out as well. Precise Excavating out of Belleville. I know it's Bellevue and Belleville. Belleville, Michigan, got that one. They're not a local contractor, but I've worked with them on a few other projects for our county, and I've been pretty pleased with them, so.
Bellevue,
Yep, up by Charlotte,
yeah,
Yep.
I know where that's where all the lane comes from.
yep. Yep, and so, that's really about it on that one. Talking about this contractor that's doing the Clark drain, they're also doing a project for us on Lake Somerset, on one of our dams. And we have spoke with Bob a little bit about this. Brookhurst Lane is the only access to that site. I believe, is there a resurfacing project in the works for Brookhurst? Are you guys working with the Lake Association or something on that?
They're
Off and on.
looking at stuff and there is absolutely nothing, it won't be this year. There's nothing in writing or, they're just
Yeah.
looking at doing it.
Yeah, there's gonna be some truck traffic through there. It's gonna be nothing like we're gonna see on M99 or anything, but they're gonna need to haul some materials in. I've heard from a few residents with concerns about the integrity of Brookhurst Lane, but, at this point, there's, it's the only way in there. There's no other way, so, the contractor's aware of the concerns. So,
Time frame, when will that take place?
mid-May. That was the estimated start date on that one. It's not a huge project. The backside of one of our dams has some seepage and the bank is kind of sloughing off, and he's just doing a reconstruction on the bank, stabilization. So it's pretty minor project compared to some of the other ones.
They wanted to do all the roads up there, didn't they?
We give them estimates and.
They were kind of excited over the estimate that we gave.
There's a little bit of money up there on that, like,
Like, what, $5 million or
I think
something?
it's 7, I think, but.
Yeah, our project's $500,000. But everyone on the lake there's a special assessment district, they have to pay for that. But when you got, I forget, 1,400 parcels, it spreads pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
That one I think we're going 5 years on, so.
Well, if they wanna redo the roads, it'll be good to have this done before that.
I agree.
Mhm.
I think, and they would probably be more upset if the road was done now, and then we're taking all the trucks through there.
Yep.
And then they have to get the road redone.
Yeah. So the only other project isn't a petition project or anything, it's just some maintenance work we've been doing on the Watt drain, which is, Harmon and Frontier Road area. Similar to Grass Lake Road, long history, county drain right there, it's never worked worth a darn.
That's Harmon and what?
Harmon and Frontier Road.
It's a con-
So, I talked to a local down there, and I should probably follow up with the township, but was there talk of filling that intersection?
Yes, it's a signed
Okay.
contract between
So we're holding until we figure out what's going there.
I need to circle back with the township. It's my opinion that through our maintenance, so the Watt County drain is one of our smaller ones. It's not even a mile long. So the drainage district that has to pay for that is pretty small. So when you start assessing thousands of dollars, there's a couple of people out there that pay a lot of money. So I'm trying to do it in steps. So last year we did, worked on part of the drain downstream of that flooding area. Went very well, very successful, but we only did a portion. This year I'd like to continue with that up to Frontier Road. And then we need to cross Frontier Road. And then our drain crosses Frontier Road and then parallels the road up to that intersection. So I'm hoping I can, if my budget allows it, I'd like in 2 more phases, I would like to be up to the intersection. And I strongly feel that once we get that done, again, I'm not gonna say it's never gonna flood, but I think it's gonna be drastically better than it ever has been in our lifetimes. The current drain is like an 8-inch and it's not very deep. There's sediment issues. It doesn't flow much water. And we, believe it or not, downstream of Frontier Road, there's some significant fall in the existing drain. So I think we can flatten it out a little bit, get a little more depth. We're gonna increase the size and, that will provide a much better outlet for that intersection.
Could we go to at least a 12 or something bigger than that?
I think 15. 12 or 15.
So the project they're wanting to do, they've got some material left over from the whole Lake Diane, yeah, that's where it came from, that they want to use as fill, which we went and looked at it, they'll be okay for fill for most of it, and then we were looking to cap that off with some gravel, whether how much, I don't know, but.
And that's all fine and dandy, but, you know, my opinion is spend that money somewhere else. Give me 2 years, 3 at the most, and see what the drainage is like. And I mean, it's up to the township, really. I know there's a local down there that he feels that's the answer, just fill the road.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, you're not fixing the problem. You're just band-aiding it. Let us get the drain replaced so it doesn't flood.
Get rid of the water.
Exactly. So,
Do a long-term fix and not a Band-Aid.
right.
So, question. If what they're gonna spend on the Band-Aid could be put towards fixing the drain, could the drain be fixed quicker?
Potentially.
And is it enough money?
I don't know how much money you're talking about for your stuff.
Yeah, I don't really have any cost estimates at this point, but what was the contract for your fill? Do you know?
I'll have to
It
look. I
was-
don't have it on my, if you know
It
what
was
it is.
15,000 and it was a split between Woodbridge and Amboy. For them to split that 15,000 for that
But
grant,
that's what they're paying, then we're putting in
the labor and
the
equipment.
labor and equipment.
Which would be less than 15.
They were covering,
Not
well,
necessarily.
no, they got the fill that they're providing that we would be putting in.
Right,
So
okay,
there's
so,
labor and equipment on that.
okay, so it could be another 15,
Very well could be.
Could be 30 grand.
so 30 grand. So I don't know what kind of dollars you're talking.
That's enough.
But if we didn't do that portion, I'd say we don't put our labor and equipment in.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just that.
Even
what they were gonna pay.
15,000 would just about get me.
You think, well, and that's something we can talk to the township
Because
about.
I have the ability to, you know, the drainage district pays for some of that, or would typically pay for all of it.
Right,
So I have the ability to assess them, and this isn't really pertain to this project, but state, they just passed, they increased our maintenance limits. It was 5,000 per mile, now it's 10.
Ooh.
Which is scary for our county, but it was needed for the larger counties.
Right.
So I probably will never hit that $10,000 per mile per drain a year, but yeah,
So you guys will talk and see if maybe that'd be a good use of everyone's resources and get it done quicker.
I probably need to go to the townships.
Yeah.
So why is
Well,
it split between Amboy
It's a
and
border
Woodbridge?
road.
Because it's a border road, so they.
Frontier Road is?
Yeah.
One of them are,
I thought Grass Lake Road
Might be
was,
Grass Lake.
was a split.
Yeah.
but we did the contract 50/50,
Yeah.
Amboy said they would, yeah.
But I do know
Harmony.
Amboy wants to get rid of that pile of rubble.
You think that's good for Phil?
One pile is. One pile we said no, that, and they said, okay, we'll level that out or do whatever.
Harmony Road is the border.
The one pile is good enough.
Oh,
And they may
I was
want us
thinking
to-
the east and west, not north and south. You're right.
They want us to
Right.
get rid of that rubble, and so is they. And if push comes to shove, we could probably put it in there and then just coat it like we would a normal gravel road, not fill it like, I think you want a foot of that fill and a foot of gravel. And so we just did a foot of their fill and then just coat it. It couldn't be that much. And then talk them into using what's left.
Where'd the fill come from?
It was left over from the Lake Diane
Like Diane, it was.
project. Whose property is that on?
I can't even think of his name now, he's on the board.
Yeah.
But that came from Lake Diane, that's what we dug out, that was,
And,
It's on,
and Kevin
sitting on
and Heather
Jason
went looked at
Lauderdale's
it.
property right now.
Yeah, Loudermilk.
Oh, okay.
One is
Gotcha.
kind of the sludgy stuff pile, and one is more of a usable gravel or aggregate, you know, that could be used for fill. The sludge, he said he'd push off and just don't worry about it, but I think they want to get rid of all
yeah.
that. So they may still push and want to do that portion, maybe not do the fill on top and let the drainage take care of that.
Yeah.
And that kind of be a little bit of both then for me.
I'll start with Amboy and then touch base with Woodbridge. Woodbridge is probably gonna be upset with me because that Clark drain project is gonna hit them pretty hard.
But I think Amboy was the one that was all about it,
Yeah, Amber's one's about
The
it.
one
Woodbridge is
about-
kind of like, okay, well,
so you
Well-
might not have too much with.
But you got someone on Amboy Township, council and someone on Woodbridge Township Council that live right there, both. Martha Crowe and John Burkhart. They both know a long history of that, but
well, maybe if they hear that, you know, you can fix the drainage, if we just kind of do a little bit to the road,
yeah,
then maybe they'll
yeah.
redo all that.
Yeah, there's potential if we had some additional funding, we could possibly get that done this year, this summer.
And that way we're not wasting money on fixing a road that isn't really gonna be
I
fixed.
agree. I don't like the fill and walk away from it method. I mean, it's not, again, you're not fixing anything. So,
That'd be best case scenario.
yeah, it really would.
Best
I'll
for-
follow up with that on that one,
Okay, thank
let
you.
you guys know.
We will too.
Talking about Phil, circle back to M99. You don't have any pits close to that area, do you, of yours? Closest one would be Pittsburgh, I think.
Probably, yes.
So they have to truck, everything that comes out, they have to truck off. I'm
And
working.
they're just leaving it, they're not gonna like worry about trucking it back in? Or you got a different fill?
Yeah, they can't put anything they take out back in.
How much volume of?
I'm thinking 4,000 to 5,000 yards.
I mean, look.
I'm working, I'm, fortunately, that's kind of my stomping grounds down there, so I know a lot of people. So I told the contractor I would look for some areas, but I haven't talked with him in detail. He's probably not gonna wanna take 3 loads here, 4 loads there, you know.
Yeah, he wants to go one location.
He's gonna talk to the pit, Gherkins down there, but a lot of pits won't let you haul in, they only let you haul out, so. just trying to help the contractor out with that.
We can look.
Well, you're gonna have different kinds of material too.
I know.
It's not all gonna be
And
the same
that,
thing.
yeah, that's the hard part, cause some people, if it's good fill, yeah, but then trucks start coming in with junk and logs and rocks, and then they're not gonna want it,
Concrete.
yeah.
And a muck mixed in with it.
Yeah, we're gonna find, you name it, we're probably gonna find it in there.
You're not gonna dump that out on the field.
Might even find a kitchen sink or two.
You never know, you might
I'll
find.
get with Kevin and see what we've got.
Hopefully
Yeah.
no dead bodies.
I was gonna say, you might find the guy at the kitchen sink.
Alright,
Alright,
Thank you.
that's what I got.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, and I apologize, I should have been in closer correspondence with you guys. I wear many hats, so it's hard to keep everything in order. But I'm trying, this year's gonna be, I think I'm gonna take an extended vacation next year, once I get through this.
Well, I think you're gonna earn your money this year.
That is for sure, take note of that, Doug.
January and February vacation.
January, February, it's already planned out.
Yeah, these big projects, you know, we don't even do one a year,
right.
you know, on average,
Yeah.
and now I've got 7.
Oh my gosh. Oh
So
my.
including 3 lake projects, and those are interesting, you know,
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
totally different than drain projects,
Oh,
so
yes.
gonna be a fun year, but glad to get everything done.
There you go, there you go. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Public comment, got anything, Doug?
I say enough.
Manager's comment.
Oh, where do we start here? Scipio Township contract that we did with them, they've got the paver patch and chip seal, which is as a fog to include with it. I think they're running into a budgetary issue, and they would like to spread that out over 3 years total, which would basically be like the first year this year, the paver patch, and the next 2 years is the chip seal spread out over 2 years. So I told them I would bring it to the board, see if, because otherwise they're only gonna wanna do the paver patch this year and pay for it, and then they'll do another contract next year to do the chip seal next year. And then hopefully either have the money or pay that out over 2 years. I would rather get it all done at once and just have them pay it, but then we don't have the paper patch rattling on us, it'd all be sealed and.
And was that for all of the chip seal or only half of the chip seal? I was at that meeting.
For half of the chip seal.
Well, cause there's 2 different paper patch projects. And you wanted to do all of the chip seal on both of those paper patch projects.
Mhm.
And that they then pay the following year. They considered that too much for their budget for the following year. So therefore they said, well, could they pay it over 2 years? But I wasn't sure if they meant both projects or only one of those projects.
From
So-
how I understood, I questioned Judy on it, because we already approved the paper patch portions of those 2 projects. And then, so basically, if we were to combine it as one project and do the seal coat, it'd be the paper patch and the shoulders and stuff this year, and then split for both contracts.
For 100% of it, okay.
For both contracts, and then split
Over
the
2 years,
other
okay.
part.
So the way I'm
It'd be
taking
a
it,
total.
they want both contracts done, but it's basically splitting the payment over 3 years.
A total of 3 years, because this year would be the paper patch.
Well, you've mentioned this before, we've done this with other townships. Once you do it, you kinda,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, we let Allen Township, pay for the bridge over multiple
Right.
years, things like that. As long as I guess they're paying. I do see the benefit in trying to get it all done at once, like I said, so the paper patch isn't rattling by the time. And who
Right.
knows if next year they actually wanna do the chip seal.
Correct.
So at least
And
it's done.
and there was some conversation that next year, they would only had money for doing one of the chip seals, not both of them.
Yeah.
And so then you
So that
were
puts
2
2
years
years out to chip seal
before,
that
yes.
last one, and yes,
Yes.
and
And how many dollars are we talking about their share of these contracts?
I think the chip seal was gonna be their share almost $95,000
For the entire thing?
for both of them. Cause I thought that's what they were talking
How many-
about, that's what it was gonna
Yeah.
take them in the second year to pay.
Are they on here?
You got I made copies for you, did you bring them?
Well, I brought all kinds of stuff, I just don't know what.
I only know a little bit about it, cause they were talking about it when I was at the township
Right
meeting,
there.
so.
Okay, so. So their share for this contract, for the one contract, Cranberry Lake Road, is 73,300. And then their share of Moserville Road is 59,800.
Does that include the paver patch?
That's everything.
That's everything, so that's not just the seal coat, yeah.
73 and 59,
It's actually, the big ones are called 60 and
60 and 74,
73.
73.
You're only $100 off there.
So it was $133,000.
And so then if they paid the paver patch, that's basically 19,000 for each one. So that's what they would pay, I guess, the first year.
So again, and essentially they said 95,000, so 133 minus 40, you're close to that 95,000 I said.
And then split that for 2 years.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's basically what it comes out to.
So my question is, how come, I was surprised the chip seal was so much more than the paper patch. Are they not getting much paper patch?
No, it's only 250 tons for each one.
That's why, okay. Because I expected the paper patch portion to be more in line, to be more than what the chip seal was. And that's
Because
kind
a lot of
of,
times you wind up paver patching a lot of bad spots and then you
Correct.
sealing it. Well,
Yes.
this is only a few spots to heal everything together and then.
right, okay,
So those two roads, that's probably a very good candidate for this process.
for this process.
You know, because you're not trying to fix a blown out road, you're patching in a few spots and then sealing it. So,
So I'm not opposed to going over 2 years, we've done it before, if it betters our roads, I like that idea. My concern is we get 3 years down the road and the residents on that, or the township, the people who show up at the township meetings and the township board starts making comments like, well, we haven't even finished paying for this and now we have to do it again. Or do something, or it's falling apart, or it's worse than it was.
that process there should give it at least 5, if not 7 years for the seal coat.
Okay,
Normally I would recommend in this environment, I'd recommend every 7 years to re-seal coat it. The paper patching might not need to be done.
Like, okay, the section of Burnt Road that I live on, 3 miles, is a local road. They redid the east mile of it a couple of years ago, but the rest of it needs it. The last time anything done with it was in 2010. So it's 15 years. I mean, by all rights, and now we're to a point where there's a healthy chunk of it that's gonna have to be paver patched.
right,
And the longer they wait, the worse it gets. I mean, a winter like this last one
right,
made it worse, and we're getting lots of truck traffic on it now from the big dairies.
Right.
So, but, I mean, for example, that's gone 15 years,
Yeah.
and it's only the last 2 or 3 that it's shown the wear.
And ideally, if you could stay on a 5 to 7 year cycle to chip seal something, you per se not do anything with that road other than that
Yeah,
for many, many, many years.
which would be a whole lot cheaper than putting down
Yes.
2 inches of new blacktop.
Yeah, because it's like, that'd be 36,000 a mile every 5 to 7 years.
Right.
But again, if everybody could afford to do that, we wouldn't be where we're at
right.
right now, so. So anyway,
Yeah,
So do you need
I'm
a-
in favor of it too.
Do you need a motion?
I think you probably ought to, just so that we can
I
have
would
a
agree.
record of.
I would move that we spread Scipio Township's,
Sorry.
chip seal and fog seal over a 2-year payment, all to be done this year.
It would be a total.
It'd be a 3.
I understand. The chip seal and fog seal is over the 2-year payment, beginning next year and the following year.
Yeah.
And they were paying for all the paper patch this year, is my understanding.
Alright, yes.
So that's my motion,
Paper
Support.
patch in 25, chip seal in 26 and 27.
yes. But it's all to be done in 25.
25.
Yes.
Any more discussion? Shouldn't be.
Pretty well discussed.
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion
Gee,
carried.
I should have voted no on that.
Alright,
I changed my mind.
just for your information, knowledge, we're planning to start scraping for Brian on May 5th. They're out scraping up roads and stuff right now. They've got most of them covered right now, as far as just to scratch them up and get them leveled up a little bit. But then we'll be starting in Camden and going north, and there'll be a zigzag north over south over north, and that's how we're gonna do it this
When
year.
did you say you were starting?
May 5th.
May 5th.
Thank
And so we'll start scraping on May 5th. Probably the brine trucks will be a couple days behind that. And hopefully then it'll just follow. Once we're done with brine, and if everything works right with Mother Nature, it should be right at the 4th of July weekend. They'll be done with that, but then before that, they'll come right behind the brine where we can and start laying the spot gravel and follow that with the spot gravel. We used the brine truck the other day on those milled parts on Jonesville Road and Walworth.
Yes.
I think it worked great. The spray, we loaded it up with some of the brine here. It sprayed a good pattern. We had them set at like first gear at 1500 RPM or something, and he went down the road and he made one pass down, one pass back, and then one pass down the center. And we figured that basically covered it with a little over 2,000 gallons a mile would be the equivalent. I think it covered it well. It looked good, and it should be easy to go around and hit those patch spots so that they're not.
Is there a way to let the public know that we're gonna brine and then commit a patch?
Well, we
Because a lot
talked to all the
of people,
townships.
what?
The townships know.
Right, a lot of people are gonna complain, you just brined this, now you put new gravel on, what good did that do?
That can be
I
put
mean,
on Facebook.
We can put it on Facebook and the website, that kind of thing, but yeah, we're gonna get calls.
Yeah,
You're gonna get calls,
You're
so
always gonna get called.
just know we're gonna come behind that and spray it again.
alright,
And that's gonna be at our cost. So it's not costing the township or the residents extra money to re-spray, because we're gonna take that.
How big of a tank do we have on that truck?
It's a 2,500 gallon?
Okay.
No,
1,500.
1,500 gallon. So anything over 1,000, we have to have a tank endorsement for the driver, so. Yep, I think it worked good. We went out and watched it, took some pictures and videos, and even had one nice resident decide he saw the truck coming and he's gonna drive by it anyway, just spraying brine.
Oh,
And the driver was good enough to flip off that switch. He drove by and flipped it back on and kept on going. So that could have been a brine covered vehicle.
So what
I
happens
know.
with that, if that happens to the vehicle? Does it turn like a different color or?
No, it's just like a
no.
salt
You
brine.
wanna take and get your vehicle washed.
Yeah, you might wanna wash it.
Real soon.
But anyway, what I'm saying, the pattern, the spray, they put new nozzles in it, and I think it worked good. The driver did good. So I don't think we'll have an issue with when we go and do the spot gravel to re-brine it.
People used to be behind me with liquid chloride. You can just about dissolve a car that way.
Let's see.
Windshield wipers.
This is kind of a retouch on the Bivens Road abandonment. So Stoco is still looking to get that abandoned. I have been working with McChrysop's lawyers and, the proper ways of doing it. And so basically I've got a resolution that I sent to Moscow Township for them to do. And basically that resolution it's a whole page thing, but in essence it's them saying we're good with doing the abandonment and asking the road commission board to follow whatever steps it needs to take to get the road abandoned. And at that point, I'll have another resolution for you guys to adopt and sign, approving the abandonment, and really, that's all it takes, other than we have to do some notarizing and get it recorded.
You don't have to go to circuit court?
No, well, no,